class, this is video 2 for our session 3 meeting, where we're not, again, meeting face-to-face. And this information is not in your book, but it pertains to a lot of the things that we've already discussed, so I wanted to go over it quickly. To give people who might be more visual learners an idea of how everything fits together, this is the rhetorical rhombus. Now, if you think back to ethos, pathos, and logos, all of this comes back to the rhetorical rhombus. So, for instance, pathos we know relates to the audience, the emotional state of the audience. So when you see audience here, you can also think pathos. When we think about writer, we're going to think about ethos. Are you credible? Are you trustworthy? And when we think about subject, we're going to think about logos. So is the content that you're dealing with logical in nature? Now, the fourth issue here is purpose, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, purpose. Whenever you're making an argument, you need to set up and establish why you're making the argument. So you can't just argue because, right? That wouldn't get you very far. Or the famous parent thing, because I said so, right? Because kids always want to know why. So you need to have this very specific reason, and you need to have your audience agree with that reason by the end of your paper. So here's this example: wolf hunting must be stopped. Now, what is the purpose of, that's the claim, that's something that you want to change, that's the heart of your argument, but what's the purpose? Well, here, they look at 2 points that are part of the purpose. And again, it might be something as simple as you love wolves. But purpose is your motivational factor. So why in the world are you even writing this paper? Yes, you have to do it for a grade, and that's part of your motivation, but why pick that particular issue? And the purpose is really important, because it's going to impact your audience. So when you start thinking about your audience, if you're going into a room of people who are pro wolf hunting, you're going to make a very different argument than people who are maybe not so sure about wolf hunting and are ready to be convinced. Depending on who your audience is the kind of arguments that you're going to want to make. So you could make academic arguments. That's where you share some data, some specific ideas. But you can also make more pathos-based arguments, right? Because we know your audience most likely will be impacted by the way that they feel. So you want to think about feeling, and you want to think about, showing pictures maybe of cute little wolves, and why would anyone want to kill them? You want to always be asking yourself a few questions. What do my readers or my audience members, if you're giving a speech, what do they know? What don't they know? Wolf hunting is a great example. I don't know about you guys. I don't know that very much about wolf hunting. I don't know how many wolves are in the area. I don't know when people are allowed to hunt them. I don't know if there's hunting limits. Same thing if we looked at deer. If deer are overpopulated, it's going to be kind of hard to make an argument to say we shouldn't hunt them. So what do the readers know and what don't they know? And what do you need to educate them on so they can make their own decisions and thoughts about this particular issue? Is this issue going to affect your readers personally? Again, the more emotional the argument, the more likely it'll affect them personally. What does that mean? It could also affect them personally in a negative way, where you can anger them and kind of turn them off your argument. How far do you need to argue is what would happen if my argument was accepted. What will the next steps be? How persuasive do I need to be? What if they agree there's a problem, but they don't accept my suggestions or conclusions about what we do about that problem? And the other thing is, sometimes people just won't care. So sometimes it's just about establishing, the fact that they care at all. This goes back to our local government issue. People don't show up and vote for local elections, because who the heck cares, right? Well, you have the opportunity here within your research proposals and persuasive letters to hopefully make someone take notice of an issue or care. Now, the writer, as I said, all goes back to credibility. So, are you an authority figure? Are you professional? If you're writing about kind of a personal issue, maybe fundraising or something like that, maybe you're a friend, sibling. And again, all this can come back to more work-related content in terms of, are you the client, or are you seeking to contract with an organization and sell yourself? All that will impact the kind of tone and what you bring to your rhetorical rhombus. Last but not least, subject. Again, this will also often relate to logic. So the subject is going to be your text, whatever you're creating. It'll be, in this case, a research paper, eventually a proposal, and eventually a persuasive letter. You need to have a focus. What is the main heart of the issue? It might be a complicated issue, but what's the main heart of an issue? When we talked about Walmart last week, we talked a little bit about some of the main issues. One of them that came up was traffic. But there might be other issues that are involved. So what angle, what particular focus, and then what particular angle are you going to take on an issue? And if you're trying to shift an audience's focus or angle, for instance, I think Jonathan was saying that, bringing a Walmart in might increase property values, make people more interested in moving into that community. All of that's great. People might be really behind that and really support that. If you want to argue against it, how are you going to shift their focus or their angle within your writing? Okay, that's again the end of video 2 for class session 3. And if you have any questions about the rhetorical rhombus, you can feel free to let me know. Again, as you're outlining your paper, your research paper, and thinking about the research that you need to do, you might want to think about making sure that you have criteria that falls within the 4 categories of the rhetorical rhombus. Just another way to help you think and organize your thoughts. For all of you, I haven't heard from anyone yet about topics, whether or not they want to share their topic with me in advance and get some feedback or opinion. I encourage you all to do that, so definitely keep that in mind. Beyond that, I hope you guys have a great week.